I was on the phone with a reporter last spring who was doing a piece on authentic leadership. She says, Dr. Thacker, I see you're a workplace psychologist. What exactly is that? Thinking good morning to you too. So I tell her I help people make sense of all the human dynamics in the workplace using the science of psychology. Then she says, with just a little bit more cynicism in her voice, with everything going on in the workplace today, why does authenticity matter? I'm thinking I better cut through the psychobabble and get to the point with this one. She's going to be tough. So I pull up my best talk to the press, get to the point persona, and I tell her, being real or authentic is clearly linked to 3 critical skills in the 21st century workplace: building relationships, creating meaning and purpose, and innovation, none of which can be done by your computer or a robot or even outsourced. I can hear her on the other end of my iPhone typing away, click, click, click. I've got her attention now. I continue. This 21st century authenticity is not simply being yourself. It is about being your best self. You continually dig down deep and figure out what really matters to you. You don't stop there, though. You act on the things that really matter to you, even if it means doing things that scare you. You're constantly evolving with an eye toward being the best possible version of yourself, hence creating yourself. That is the kind of practical authenticity that matters in the 21st century workplace. I'm thinking I told her. Things go silent, keyboard and all. Finally, she says, Karissa, I have one more question. What if your boss is authentic and just an asshole? We have all had those authentic asshole bosses or peers or even spouses. We have all been there. Here is the reality. There are real assholes out there, authentic assholes, if you will. And there are negative environments, people, and even negative forces in your own head. However, if we look at decades of research in psychology, the underlying reality is that most of us are driven to build close relationships, do meaningful work, and be true to ourselves. The drive to be authentic and express the best of who we are in the world is literally in our wiring. You say, if that is the case, how is it that so many work environments are so negative? How is it that trying to be authentic and work toward my best self in my work environment can sometimes feel like trying to defy gravity? The short answer to that question is that those innate positive drives can get short-circuited in all of us, and often do. Here's how it happens. We come into the world with our positive drives toward meaningful work. Bad things happen. We get kicked around. We must adapt to the real world. In our adaptation to the real world, we also armor up to protect ourselves from harm. We all have our own unique ways of armoring up. Let me tell you about one of my ways of armoring up. 3 things are absolutely true about me. I am a cautious soul by nature. I've known I was gay since the 6th grade, and I am wildly ambitious. Early on in my career, I made the decision to keep my personal life separate from my business life. I was afraid that my ambitious goals were out of sync with my identity. I got incredibly proficient at the whole avoid the pronouns of he or she thing. That whole pronoun evasion technique can make the simple question of what did you do over the weekend utterly exhausting. Over time, I knew at least 600 ways to avoid being asked if I was married or what my husband did. I was armored up. You see, we are not just wired to be authentic and express the best of who we are in the world. We are also wired to protect ourselves from harm. Our brains are literally designed in such a way that threat screams at us. We all learn some behaviors that are soul-crushing for us, but they work, at least in the short term, and more importantly, they protect us. But that protection has a cost. Those behaviors become patterns over time. You have your patterns, I have mine, and we're armored up and off to the negative races. Over time, some of our ways of armoring up may not even be adaptive anymore. But we still keep them because they are familiar. They are habits. And yet, we all have moments that are so full of meaning and joy that they take our breath away. Answer the following questions. When do you feel most alive? When do you feel joy? When do you feel a sense of purpose? Those questions are taken from the work of the mid-century psychologist Abraham Maslow. Maslow devoted his life to studying the higher possibilities of human nature. In answering those questions, people always speak of times when they were being true to themselves, times when they were coming from the deepest parts of who they were and accomplishing something that meant the world to them. The plant manager who took a manufacturing plant from the lowest performing plant in a big system to top quartile performance. The spouse who finds the courage to leave a dead relationship. Times when people were coming from the deepest parts of who they were and doing something that really mattered. Moments of authenticity. So how do we get more of that? How do we up our percentage of authentic moments? That question captured my heart and my mind 3 years ago. I was staring the big 50 in the face. For some of you who may not understand, that's 50, 50. And some of my ways of armoring up that had felt adaptive in the past felt false. The truth was that I longed to have more of those moments so full of meaning and joy that they took my breath away. Those moments are inextricably linked to the practice of authenticity. That is why authenticity really matters. In my own life, I needed to open up and tell my whole story to the people that mattered in my whole life. I started asking myself the same question every day. How can I be more authentic and effective in my real world? My real world that, yes, has authentic assholes, negative environments, my own established habits of armoring up, and incredible possibilities for meaning, purpose, and unbridled joy. My voice trembled as I said to long-term clients, there is something I need to tell you about myself. I am gay and have a partner of 25 years and a wife of 3 years who is the same person. You see, there's been a few laws that have changed in the last 28 years. Today, I am still a cautious soul. I am still ambitious, but I am much less armored up in all kinds of ways. You see, the armor that had protected me from harm had also kept me from deeper, more real connections with other people. I discovered that showing up as your best self or becoming more authentic is an art. No one can tell you how to do it or what it means to be true to yourself. Like any art, it requires focus and deliberate practice. But there are two key fundamentals in practicing the art of authenticity to which we must return over and over again. The first fundamental is staying in touch with what really matters. Not because it should matter to you or because you ought to care about it. This is much, much harder than it sounds. It requires slowing down and taking your own measure. Once you know something really matters to you, what happens? Wouldn't it be nice if our brains were also wired in such a way that we would do this contemplation, we would figure out that something really mattered to us, and then our bodies would just start to do it? Not exactly how it works, is it? How many of us know that we really want or need to do something, like write a book, or go to Belize, or start a business? What holds us back? The truth is, we all have a little bit of the cowardly lion inside of us when it comes to expressing the deepest parts of who we are. What if people don't like it? What if it doesn't work? This takes us to the second fundamental in practicing the art of authenticity. We must summon our courage, step up, stand up, and follow through when it really matters. Those are the defining moments of an authentic life. There is no escaping the difficult virtue of courage if you want more of those moments of meaning and joy. Believe me, I tried. How many of you have seen Wicked? It happened BH right before Hamilton, right? I guarantee you haven't seen Wicked as many times as I have. For those of you who don't remember before Hamilton time, Wicked is one of the most successful musicals in Broadway history and is an alternative version of The Wizard of Oz. There are two principal characters in the world of Wicked. One is Glinda the Good Witch, and the other is a character that we all think of as the Wicked Witch of the West, who is named Elphaba in the world of Wicked. The composer, lyricist Stephen Schwartz illustrates the courage required to become more authentic in the climactic, soul-stirring number that closes the first act. The title of the song is Defying Gravity, and it is by far my best carpool karaoke song. I'm waiting on the call from James Corden of The Late Late Show, but I have conditions. The car must be stacked with Tony Award winners, and I have a distinct preference for Kristen Chenoweth. I think even she could make even me sound good. As the number begins, Elphaba, who has extraordinary powers of her own, has defied the wizard, and it was not well received. Glinda encourages Elphaba to back off and play it safe. Glinda says, just say you're sorry. You can still be with the wizard. It's what you've worked and waited for. Elphaba's response is, I know, but I don't want it. No, I can't want it anymore. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing, too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. The tremendous possibility of your life and my life is to become who we truly are. Make your life an authentic work of art. Thank you.